Dear student, whoever is listening and viewing this video, Gender in Agroecology, you're most welcome to the 6th session of Gender Mainstreaming in Agroecology. My name is Musowos Paul Stephen, your facilitator as lecturer of Gender Mainstreaming in Agroecology. Today, dear student, we are going to focus on gender and food sovereignty. Food is a very important element and need for every one of us who's living on planet Earth. Without food, I don't think every creature would be living. So food is very important. So as food is very important, who has powers in the control of the food system? We've seen both humans and non-human creatures expressing control of the food system. And since humans are above in terms of intelligence in the control of food systems, they dominate other creatures by deciding on what should be done. But in regard to this class, we're going to look at how food is controlled by both men and females in society. So the topic of discussion looks at food production and food control by focusing on gender as a very important issue in society. Food sovereignty as a gender issue explains or describes the relationship between food and power, and also gender and food. We're going to look at how males and females relate in terms of the powers they hold in controlling the production, the consumption, and the marketization of the food. So gender inequality, we've looked at them in the beginning of our discussion. Society established a structure and its operation where females are less important in terms of decision making and control. And that brought differences between females and males. Now, when we talk about gender mainstreaming, is to address the negative values society members hold about males and females and promote those values that enable us to work together, that enable us to cooperate, that enable us to build strong relations in terms of living harmoniously and contributing to ecosystems' health and promotion of better life. So, gender inequality defines discrimination and power imbalance between men and female. It is difficult to have power to control food as a female if you don't have rights. It's difficult to have decisions on what to produce and what to consume and what to market if you don't have powers over the decisions on what you desire to do. So it is difficult to have food sovereignty at family level if gender disparity is too pronounced. We have experiences in this region and other regions where there are lots of malnutrition among children and also the adults. This has been due to the decision on what to consume in terms of food hot amounts of food to consume. Some societies where male are dominant or male influence is dominant, women have participated in production of food, right from planning, clearing the land, sowing, weeding, at harvest. However, when it comes at harvest, they take the lowest share. You find they have their needs also. Women have their needs. And their desire is to produce food which they can put on market and earn income which can answer their practical gender needs. But however, they are not the owners of land. Therefore, as they are not the owners of land, they have less power to decide on how they should address their practical needs. So, what is food sovereignty? Food sovereignty means the right of individuals, the right of communities, the right of the state, the political state, to describe their own food and agricultural systems, so as to deliver sufficient and suitable food. It means the country Uganda will have the power to define what they should produce and why they should produce it. As a system itself, as communities, we decide, as individuals, we decide what to produce. But if you don't have power to decide what to produce, then you don't have that sovereignty. Sovereignty looks at ownership, the power to influence the decisions, because you have the expertise. Some countries might force us on which food to produce and which food to export, but we may have no power to decide on our own if we don't have the control of the production systems. So, those who have power will regulate what decisions we take, and that decision, they will exploit our energies and our decisions, and at the end of the day, we shall have no powers to influence. So we make losses in terms of investments and in terms of production. So, excuse me. It also means we have no power to regulate exploitation of farmers. We don't have power to exploit the investment areas. So we end up losing, and we don't have the power to protect our dignity. So food sovereignty focuses on the following. It focuses on food for the people. People's need is food. Food sovereignty also focuses more on commodity. We also have food values. It focuses on values food providers have. Food providers are respecting and appreciating. It focuses on localizing food systems. It focuses on controlling food, of what we produce, promotes knowledge and skills, which is very important. And also, we look at the nature of food. So in our discussion today, we want to integrate food sovereignty as a gender issue. Now, if we look at household decision making, how is the power sharing between the husband and the wife in terms of what to produce, in terms of what to market and what not to market, in terms of what levels of energy, in terms of food consumption to take. Now, if we train our farmers on food, on gender equality, gender promotion, food Food sovereignty is very key. It talks about the right of people to produce food which is healthy and food which they can consume. So what are the decisions at household level? What are the decisions at the community level? How can we help balance the powers between the producers of food at household level and how the males and females participate? So food sovereignty becomes a gender issue, especially where there is no connection between gender and decision making. Where there's gender inequality, food sovereignty between farmers, especially if they are female farmers in a household, female farmers might not have powers if they are not the owners of the home. So it describes discrimination and power imbalance, and this brings underdevelopment at the household level. And if it is highly exaggerated, it calls for it signifies what we call community underdevelopment, and if it's at national level, it also affects our way of work. Food sovereignty is a gender issue when there's lack or inadequate capacity of men and women to access and control food. If there are farmers here and they are only males and they have the power to control the food systems, that means women will not have a hand in making that decision. It becomes difficult to have food sovereignty at the family level if gender disparity is ignored. So agroecology has come in to answer this in this way. So agroecology and food sovereignty link in a way that agroecology embraces use of local knowledge on small-scale farmers. We have farmers who have low incomes in villages, but also want to survive economically. But how can we respect their farmers' decisions on what they produce and integrate it in our food systems? Food sovereignty focuses on local rights of farmers and producers of food, and it emphasizes promotion of domestic food production. It emphasizes respecting local markets and increasing local food supply instead of only focusing on distant markets and supplies. How do we promote the food production at local level, but also using the gender perspective? How can we respect? How can we promote? What strategies do we need to take? What approaches do we need to use to look at food as a very important aspect in our societies and give it a balanced argument? So agroecology deals with making farming environmentally resilient and beneficial to local, international, and national by giving opportunity for all gender to participate. So it's very important to understand gender and integrate it in the food sovereignty issue, the promotion of food sovereignty. How do we do it? We need to integrate gender when developing food systems sovereignty policies. We need to integrate the different views. We need to integrate the different knowledges male and females have on promoting food sovereignty policies. Incorporate gender in implementation of food sovereignty programs as part of capacity building programs. Integrate gender in agroecology when it comes to academic training to reduce negative attitudes that promotes sex discrimination. This is how we can integrate gender in food sovereignty. Then improve when we consider our land policies. We need to integrate the rights of women to have a say on land ownership and what they produce. So if we integrate gender in food sovereignty, we are going to have activities right at policy level to policy implementation at national, local, and international by integrating the aspect of gender, because everyone needs to understand that we all have the same opportunity. We have the energy to make contributions. Therefore, if people understand that women have the power, even if they may not be owning the land, they have their right to have a say on what they need to produce, how they should consume it, how they should market it. Males at that same level, you need to recognize there should be a dialogue in terms of discussing what right way to take. So food sovereignty as a gender issue looks at the differences in terms of powers between the farming communities, between the farmers themselves, and address the inequalities that exist by having issues discussed at different platforms, for example, at policy level, at implementation level, so that these negative attitudes reduce, and then we have integration of rights, integration of thinkings, so that we can reduce the negative differences between males and females, and also promote the control of food in our society. So that marks the end of focus on food sovereignty as a gender issue. In the next class, we shall have, again, focus on gender mainstreaming in agroecology, but with a focus on research. We are going to look at how to integrate research in agroecology, and especially with a focus on agriculture. So thank you so much. I will meet you in the next class, and that will be our 7th class, our 7th session, and we shall discuss issues of research and also see how do we integrate gender in those perspectives. We meet in that next class. I wish you a happy stay and a healthy participation in the forthcoming class. Thank you so much.